Ink cartridges are a simple and easy way to get your pen ready to write. However, there are some slight differences between these depending on which brand you're using. Greetings, my name is Drew Brown, and thank you for joining me here at the Goulet Pen Company, because today we are going to go over how to install ink cartridges in your fountain pen. So what we're going to do today is go over some of the most popular brands of ink cartridges, and I'm going to show you how to install them. Because even though they are all fountain pen ink cartridges, depending on the brand, they insert differently, have some subtle nuances that you want to keep in mind. Okay, let's get started with LAMY. These are some of the most popular cartridges around, especially in Europe, and they come standard with just about every LAMY pen, so odds are you've seen one of these. These are proprietary, so they won't fit anything but LAMY. Before you go to insert your cartridge, you might notice that the grip section has these funky little notches cut into it. Those are for the converter to plug in like that, but we don't need to worry about that because we're not doing converters today. We're doing cartridges, and there are no notches, so you don't need to worry about that. Depending on the color of the cartridge, this tip is going to be black or blue usually, and that is your entry point. You insert it with that colored end facing in toward the nib, and you're gonna want to use some real force, and pop, there it goes. We're gonna move on to the Pilot ink cartridge now, and these are also super popular. One end has a bit of a taper to it, the other end has a kind of translucent cup situation going on. That's what we're going to be using. Once we have access to our grip section, we take that cup shape end, insert it, and then boom, there we go. The Platinum ink cartridge is a bit unique because while it does have a barrier that you need to punch through, it's not a plastic, thin layer like all of the other cartridges are, but it's actually a ball bearing that's inserted very tightly into the cartridge, but with enough pressure, it pops free, allows the ink to run through the cartridge into the grip section. And then once that's done, the ball bearing just kind of bounces around inside of the cartridge, acting as an agitator. So if you hear a rattling in your pen after you use a Platinum cartridge, that's okay. Your ink's being agitated, nothing is wrong. So when you're ready to insert, you take your ball bearing end of the cartridge, insert it into the grip section where the post is, and then thunk, ink is all up in there. Okay, it's time for Sailor. What I like about some of these Sailor cartridges is that depending on which one you get, you might actually have arrows that show you which direction you're going to want to insert your cartridge. Some of them don't, some of them do. This one does. But arrows or not, you're going to want to insert it with this clear portion toward your nib. It's not quite as obvious as the Pilot, but it's pretty clear. So you'll want to take that clear portion toward your nib, and then bam, there it goes. And now we have come to the part of our journey where we talk about the Standard International cartridge. Now, this is not completely standard, not completely international, but it probably is the most common cartridge in the market today. You'll find many different companies making cartridges in this size. Diamine, Private Reserve makes them in this size, so does Pelikan and Monteverde, but there are many more, and there are also a ton of different pens that take these as well. So you can check our website for a guide on which pens are compatible with these, and we'll also always mention them on the product page of any given pen to make sure that you can buy the right converter and right cartridge for your pen. Generally speaking, all of these are going to look the same. They usually don't have any sort of printing on them. There is a slight taper toward the back end is a bit wider, the front end's a little bit more narrow, and the front end has a very distinctive entry point. So right now I'm using the grip section to an Edison Ascent. This is again one of the many different pens that will accept this type of cartridge. They're really easy to install because they're really short. You can just shove them and shaboom. The Standard International actually has a big brother. This is technically the Standard International Short cartridge. Usually people don't make that distinction because this is pretty much all there is, but there are Standard International Long cartridges. One of the most common places you'll see the difference is with Pelikan. They have Standard International Short, which we just saw, but then with their Edelstein line, they also have Standard International Long. So the part that plugs into the grip section is going to be identical, but the length of these things are going to only fit pens that can accommodate something significantly longer. So the third chapter of our Standard International cartridge discussion ends with the TWSBI cartridge. This technically has the same opening as the Standard International cartridges we have seen before. However, this thing is big. Compared to the Standard International Short cartridge, I mean, this thing's like 3 times the capacity. It's huge. So while the opening might be the same, the diameter of this is significantly wider. So you're not actually going to be able to fit it in as many pens simply because it's too wide to go into the grip section. But if you have a pen that does have a very, very wide grip section that can fit it, presumably that would work. But as of this recording, they're pretty much just made for the TWSBI Swipe. Just like any other standard international, it plugs in with that very distinctive entry point first in toward the nib, and then boosh, it's going. So hopefully that was helpful. If you're just getting started, we have a lot of beginner level and essential fountain pen videos for you to check out here on YouTube. If you have any questions about which cartridge your fountain pen takes, we will have that information on every single pen's product page at gouletpens.com. Thanks so much for watching today. If you would like to, you can like and subscribe, but most importantly, please have fun and write on.